Hello there. Welcome to Coaching with Tally. We are talking today about shifting from fear to love. And with tension being really high in this season, there is a lot of fear at the surface. Anytime there is, a lot going on like it is right now, fear can be really, really high. Hey, you guys, good to see you. Thanks for the love. And so we're talking about how do we shift from fear to love. And there are a couple of specific things we'll get into today. My name is Tally. I'm a life and personal development coach, and I work with leaders to create lives that they love living, that are centered in joy and living lives in overflow, having an impact on the world. So today, talking about fear, how to shift fear to love. Good to see ya. Good. I'm glad sound is working. That's awesome. So how do we go about shifting fear to love? How do we know we're in a place of fear? First of all, we talked a little bit about this yesterday, when we tend to feel a little bit more on edge, when we are in the future, a lot, thinking about what ifs, feeling like we just kind of have a short fuse. Some of these are indicators that we are in a place of fear. And how do we shift out of that and into a place where we're operating from love? So there's like an emotional scale. Fear is at the bottom rung of the emotional scale, and love is at the very top. And in any moment, in any action that we have, we are being primarily motivated either by fear or by love. So if you look at any action that goes on in your life, it's rooted either in, love for self or other people, or fear of trying to protect in some way. And so when we can get really clear about what it is that's motivating us and begin to shift that, it can, we want to live in that place of love, right? That's when you think about the experience of living in fear, what is it that you feel? When you're in a place of fear, just think about something that has you in a place of fear. What is it that you feel? It's usually kind of contracted, self-protecting. There's anxiety there. There's often a defensiveness, and it's just kind of this fight or flight place. When you're operating in a place of love, often that feels really open. It feels expansive. You feel like you're in overflow. It feels good. And so how do we get from this place of being in fear to this place of love? That's what it's in the small little moments where we learn to practice shifting it, right? So that when we get into the big crisis situations, we have these tools and we have access to things that can shift us more quickly. So one of the just very simple things is just physiologically taking a really deep breath in, just slowing everything down and being okay, noticing what it is that's fueling the fear. There's something that we're feeling a need to protect. There's something when we're feeling blamed or criticized or misunderstood. Those are all things that can trigger us into fear often. And when we can just go okay, what is it that's here right now? What is it that's going on? Sometimes just turning around and facing the fear and looking at it directly and being what am I actually being chased by? Or what is it that I'm actually digging into on this, or having to be right about this for? What is it that I'm trying to create by either being right or, defending intensely? Or anytime you see reaction like that and you feel that place of fear, if you can identify what is going on here that I'm so needing to protect, sometimes that can be really helpful. And then shifting into a place of love, one of the keys that can be really, really helpful, because often we are very attached to an outcome. When we get into that place, there's some outcome that we want, and it's because there's a need that needs to be met. And if we can get clear about what is driving it, what am I trying to protect, or what is it that I am trying to get to, what's the need here underneath? Is it justice? Is it a sense of freedom? Is it being known? Is it comfort? Is it significance? Let me pull out I think I have it here. I don't. I took it for a session. I don't have it right here. But there's an emotional needs wheel that I have, and we'll talk about that. I've talked about it before, and we'll talk about it again. But some of those things that I'm mentioning, if you can get clear about what it is that's driving you, that can be really, really helpful, and be okay, how do I get this need met? And then another thing, just a practical that I want to leave us with, because of the conversation going on right now and so much of what's happening right now, I think this could be helpful. And that is, rather than being dug in really intensely to whatever position you're coming from, being able to just have that, like have what you believe is true, all of that there, but instead of needing to like fight for it, being able to be like, this is truth for me, but also being able to hear another person, hear where they're coming from. And so taking a deep breath in, it does a lot physiologically. We won't get into what it does today, but taking a deep, slow breath in and just being able to kind of like hold your position loosely, to just be like, this is just my perspective. This is where I'm coming from. This is my truth, and other people have theirs. And being unattached to some like thing that you have to drive home, but just be able to just hear another person, even if you don't come into agreement with them, even if at the end of the day you still have completely different perspectives. Our ability to just be able to hear another is incredibly, first of all, courageous, and will have you in a place of love. Will have you in a place of not having to like, but being able to just be like, this is where I land on it, and I get that this is where this person is coming from, and I get what's fueling that. For having that space is so much more powerful, and really collectively, you guys, we are creating the world that we live in. We are collectively creating the world that we live in. Jay says, anxious more than fear for me. That makes sense, yeah. The whole stay-at-home madness. So I'm trying to see. Outlets to override, said fear and anxiety. Yeah, finding things that shift you into that place of love. Putting down walls to listen. That's powerful. Yeah, I love that, Gina. So when we can just get in a space that's neutral, and honestly, like, just think about your ears. This was like, I was reading an article in Psychology Today, I think, and they were talking about so much of this, like, thing that we have going on is our egos needing to be right or protect something. And if we can just go, okay, I don't need to protect anything. I don't need to defend anything. I can just listen. So if you can just focus on your actual ears and just listening, just hearing, unattached to the brain that is connected to it and the like need to defend or be right. If you can just listen, that can do a whole lot to lower anxiety, to shift out of fear and shift into love. So just being able to have empathy, and we'll talk more about that. I think tomorrow we're going to talk more about empathy, but being able to just hear and listen and be neutral. And one of the phrases that helps me a lot is like, get unattached to an outcome. Like, I don't have to be attached to there being some outcome right now. I can just be neutral and listen, have my truth, and also let other people have their truth. So that can be a great starting place from shifting from fear into a place of love. So hopefully that's supportive for you, that just getting neutral, taking a deep breath, just being able to hear a different perspective other than what you think and know to be true, without having being attached to an outcome. Hopefully that supports you. It's so good to see all of you guys on here. Gina and Jay and Andy and Kristen and Aaron. Hello, Susie. Sending lots of love to you guys. Sending love and peace to you guys right now. Learning to listen instead of hearing. Trying to come up with a response. Yeah. Just being able to just hear. Be like, sounds like whether you're with that person, sounds like you're feeling a lot of injustice. Sounds like you're feeling a lot of pain from your past. Sounds like whatever it is, just being able to just hear. It's so powerful. Just hear. There's a book called Never Split the Difference. It's a FBI negotiator, and he talks about this very thing. Like, it's so helpful when you have two totally opposing sides and there's actually someone's life at stake in the middle of all of this. Like, he's talking about high-end negotiations, and he just says just the ability to hear, just listen and reflect back what you hear somebody experiencing. Even if you totally disagree, even if this person is like crazy murderer, like annihilating people, like these are extreme situations, right? And he just talks about the power of just being able to hear another person. Just hear what it is they're experiencing, feeling, what's fueling whatever their actions are, however like ridiculous you think they are. just being able to hear another person is so powerful. And he talks about so many negotiations that the person, like, they just let him go without even anything, a ransom or anything, because he got to a place where he heard what was fueling all of this for them. And once someone feels heard and understood, it lowers anxiety so much. So whether this is a family relationship, all of the stuff going on in the world right now, whether it's a roommate or a friend or a coworker, if you can just get to a place where you listen, hear, sounds like what you're saying or feeling is huge step toward getting into a place of love. You're so welcome. You're so welcome for doing this daily. I love you guys too. So good to see you. Hope this supports you in all of your relationships and getting yourself from that energy of fear into energy of love. Blessings, everybody.